everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Blind View here on Rumble and some other places. Here's your host, Miss Rebecca Meadows.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us this evening for another exciting episode of The Blind View. I am your host, Rebecca S. Meadows, and I've got Anya and Paul with me tonight. How are you guys?
Doing excellent. Enjoying the evening and looking forward to talk to you guys.
Doing all right. I know that we're missing Brandon, but hopefully I'll be able to say something as interesting as he might have said this evening.
Hopefully he wasn't. Who cares? I hope Brandon wasn't abducted by aliens.
Yeah, I didn't really tell what he was not doing. We'll interrogate him next time.
Oh, great.
Yep. Okay. So, guys, I wanted to, and I'll announce my topic. I wanted to talk about President Trump's journey over to China to meet with Xi. Is it? I'm not sure what his title is. Is it President Xi? And see how you guys feel about his voyage over there to meet with Xi, and you know what I mean? Because the Democrats, the liberal media has been saying things about it. I want to see what your guys' take is on it.
Well, what I can say, I mean, liberal media is going to say anything no matter what. I mean, they get upset about pool being painted. I mean, what can you say? So, I mean, it's just crazy. But I don't see anything wrong with him traveling. I don't know many details about the visit, but it's not uncommon. They treat his presidency like something. Oh, Trump did this, like something totally new happened. Presidents travel all the time, meet up with all the leaders. So, and let's not pretend that we don't deal with China. Like, most of our products are from China. We are super entangled with them. So I don't see why it would be wrong for him to talk to him, whatever he was talking to him about.
I agree with you, and I'm really getting tired of the leftists. Every opportunity they get, getting mad at Trump for doing something that every other president does. And so I just wanted to bring that up.
Well, what do you know about the visit? I don't know many details.
Yeah, good. Well, do you mind filling us in a little bit?
I know Trump seemed to be pretty confident, in his I don't want to say his chances of getting Xi to help him open up the strait. You know what I mean? But what I love about Trump is he's going over there to do it, and I'm not all. I mean, you guys know about my history with my disability, right? As a result of my disability, I'm not completely versed on everything that's gone on in the last couple of decades, but I've been studying. I've been learning as much as I can about everything since I was in high school, and I started to become concerned about the world, right? And I just think it's really admirable, and that Trump goes over there and talks to Xi about things, right? I think it's great that we have a president in the White House who has experience talking to world leaders and has relationship with world leaders. You know what I mean? So he can go talk to these guys. Do you guys remember Biden or Kamala doing any of that when they were in office?
I do believe Obama did.
I said Biden or Kamala.
Yeah, I don't
Just
remember.
the last administrations.
Yeah, I don't remember if Biden did. I'm sure he did, because I feel like a lot of presidents do these kinds of things, but I could in fact be incorrect.
Remember how unorthodox Biden's presidency was, Paul?
I do know that. I do remember Kamala saying some things about China never been there, and she did get called out by, I think it was NBC for that, which I thought was very interesting. But I don't remember if Biden had or hadn't.
Yeah, and again, there's nothing wrong with talking. I read some posts on Facebook when people are crying about it. Oh, while Americans are struggling, blah blah blah. Trump goes to talk to China. So freaking what? They would be crying if you went to talk to anybody. Like,
Yeah.
They would be complaining about if he ate a Subway sandwich for lunch. They would say it was not healthy or something. Like it's just.
So
It,
did you guys hear them? You know how the left has a habit of taking a snippet of something Trump says and like blowing it out of proportion and exaggerating it and running with it?
well, of course, it's classic.
Did you guys hear the most recent one from today?
Depends.
Trump was talking about stuff that's going on with Iran and stuff like that, and the media was, I think it was the media was asking him, well, don't you care about the way Americans are struggling to make ends meet? And he said something, and I think what he said basically meant that he has bigger issues on his mind, right? And in my mind, he wasn't dismissing the affordability crisis that Americans find themselves in, the one that the Biden administration caused. But I think what Trump was saying is that's just one of many things that he's working on, right?
Yeah.
And so anyway, today, I think he just said that this morning or late yesterday, because today, like I said, the liberal media, they're twisting his words and taking them out of context and saying that, oh, look, Trump admitted that he doesn't care about the suffering of the American people with the unaffordability of everything, right?
Yeah, well, of course they're gonna do that. I mean,
Yeah.
they've done it for years. I don't even pay attention to this anymore.
I know, I don't either. And because I am a blind American and I can see right through their BS, and I've only been half paying attention with a injured brain for 30 years now. You know what I mean? It just makes me think that the average American probably sees right through this smoke screens also,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna go on. I mean, like I mentioned, what got me this week was about the pool. You guys heard, right? That
What about the pool?
that in Washington D.C., that pool by the memorial somewhere, which was a like historic pool, but it was so long abandoned, and it had super dirty water. Like it was totally not kept. So, and Trump decided, he told the National Park Service to drain the water, clean everything up, repaint in blue color, so it's like nice and happy color, and do this and that.
Mhm.
Oh, and they got so mad that Trump is, focusing on poo. Like, come on, you want your capital to look nice.
Oh, well, yeah, and it also sounds like it was probably a health hazard. You know what I mean? Like having water sitting like that.
And those trash.
Yeah,
trashy water.
it breeds insects and algae and other like bacteria and stuff like that in the water, and with children playing around, and you know what I mean? I agree with Trump. That's not a cool thing to have in your city, because A, you want your city to look nice, and B, you want it to be safe and healthy for your citizens,
I heard him say, one of those snippets I heard, when he was talking about, when somebody was criticizing him about that pool, he was saying how much he has already done for DC, and trucks and trucks of trash have been taken out. He cleans up DC, and people are saying, yeah, like whoever has been to DC since he started this cleanup, they say the city looks a lot better.
Yeah.
So, it's good that he's taking care of it, but people are just looking for a reason to be upset about something.
Oh, I know.
TDS is real. TDS kills brain cells.
Mhm. Well, are you guys excited about the ballroom that Trump is having built?
Well, is he really building right now? Because I heard some activist judges were putting a halt on it.
I heard the same thing.
I didn't hear that there were any judges putting a halt to it. Last I heard, Trump had donations from private donors to help pay for it. And I for one, think it's a really good thing, because we need, like Trump's pointed out, we need it as a place to hold balls and parties and, stuff like that. Not only to impress the rest of the world with the strength and glory and might of the United States, but also to provide a safe place for a president to hold events. Like
as recent events proved.
Yes, yes. There's so many good reasons for this, and I'm really excited for Trump to finish the ballroom and get it done. And I really hope that he doesn't let the BS of the leftists stop him from doing this, because uh, it'll be like another shining star for America. You know what I mean? It'll be a beautiful piece of architecture also for the world to look at, and for visiting dignitaries to go to and stuff.
Yeah, and then it's a safety concern as well. So it's a big thing, safety, and yeah, you host leaders from different countries. You don't want
Yeah.
to host them in a pit.
Yeah, or out in the garden or on the lawn, like I remember listening to Trump talk about some of the stuff they'd had to do because they didn't have a proper place for such events, and he had talked about how they were doing stuff, in really inappropriate places for a president, like different places on the White House grounds. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I mean he is a builder, like in his mind, like he naturally likes to improve things. He always dealt with real estate, always building something, and
Yeah.
he's applied it here, which is good. And we're not building it for freaking a year or two. We're building for decades,
Mm-hmm.
maybe even centuries. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think he's doing a good job with that regard.
Mm-hmm.
City's prettier and things are better looking. So
How are you doing, Paul?
Oh, I'm fine. I was talking to someone recently, and maybe y'all have maybe heard this from other blind people, but I was talking to a blind individual recently, and they was kind of talking about Trump, and they're fans of Trump, but they was a little disappointed that in terms of, say, the big beautiful bill, there was nothing really for us as blind people. Um, Y'all have any thoughts about that? I was just kind of curious to know
Well,
if there's any thoughts on that at all.
I would be curious to know if the NFB or the ACB went like made lobbied him to put anything in there. You know what I mean? Like, did Mark Riccobono or anybody from the NFB or anybody from the ACB call up the White House and say, as a representative of America's blind, we would appreciate if you would think of us in this bill?
That's a good question, and that's kind of what I was getting at. I don't know if that happened. Anya, I don't know if you know of anything that happened maybe like that or not, but I'd be kind of curious to know because I could understand someone who is a Trump supporter who is blind kind of wondering, hey, what happened to us in this bill?
well, I'll say this, Paul, and everybody. I'm generally not a fan of packing those bills to the brim. When you put so much into one bill, so much legislation, then all of it gets lost, and people could be voting on one thing, but they don't like something else in a bill, and the bill
Sure.
dies. And I mean, I think they should vote at one or two things at a time, not making those huge ones, because it's not good.
So,
And generally speaking, I will say, and I can't speak for the ACB too much, but I don't want to step on anyone's toes by any means. But I do know that generally speaking, the NFB is very liberal,
proactive.
well, they are very liberal as
Yeah.
a organization. And so
So,
I don't know how much they would have really wanted to speak to Trump because I know that they generally don't agree with more conservative or Republican values, generally speaking.
Well, that may
so
appear. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Beck.
I just wanted to ask you guys, would everybody mention one or two things that they think would have been an appropriate idea for Trump to put in the bill to help America's blind? What ideas does everybody have?
Well, I don't know about Big Beautiful Bill, but I don't know. Like, I know that they are working on that legislation regarding Social Security. Like, but back,
Mhm.
I think it's called Back to Work Act or something.
I've heard of it. I don't know all the details of it, but I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's basically that there is a limit. So if you work and if you're earning, not earning, if you
Social
if you're
Security.
yeah, against Social Security, but if you go over the limit, then they take your entire Social Security away, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's discouraging people from working because everybody knows how hard it is to get on Social
Uh,
Security. and
Yeah.
they don't want to make an extra penny. I mean, they could at least do some kind of percentage or something to
Yeah.
come up with some kind of solution. But you can't just take away the entire thing.
You know what I think? I think they should let disabled and elderly people keep 100% of their Social Security if they manage to earn income over and above it. Because those Social Security benefits are benefits that Americans have already paid for, right? We've already paid for those. And so if we manage to earn anything over and above that, I think we should keep our Social Security and what we earn. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and what really gets me is that food stamp. I'm not going to go into the scam part of it, but just in general, when perfectly able-bodied people get Social Security, not only the ones with kids, there are people, a bunch of them, who don't have any kids, and they capable of working, but they still get this food stamp card. And
Mhm.
in many states, they're not even required to work, so a certain amount of hours. So we, as blind people who are already limited in our opportunities to find employment, I mean, we should be able to just keep it.
Yeah, and
And
plus it would help with the unaffordability problem that is hitting disabled and elderly people worse than the average, American who's able to go to work. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And so,
I do think there would be some risks there in the sense of, if Trump did that, or if any president for that matter did that, because I know someone who works for Social Security, and oh, they have to file or log, fraud calls. I'm not going to say frequently, but there's a lot of people that try to claim that they need it for whatever reason, and when you look at the files, it goes, no, you don't. You don't need it. I mean, you can't tell them that, but it's like, okay, try to fill it out and try to qualify, but you're not going to get it. There's people who go, well, I'm high all the time or whatever, and so I need it, because that's my disability. And so I think there'd be a lot of people trying to use those benefits who didn't need them if we was to do something like that. I don't have the answers by any means, so
well, I'll tell you guys something. It's a little bit off topic, but it has to do with Social Security. So, you know, if you go to the office there, any office, they do have guards, like armed guards there. And I was wondering, like, why? Who is gonna attack Social Security? It's not a bank or anything. I always wonder that. And guess what? One time, I think it was like a year ago or something, I was sitting in the office. It was a pretty quiet day. There was hardly any visitors, so I could hear some of the conversation, what was going on at the window. I was waiting for my ride, and this guy, he was arguing with the lady behind the window about his Social Security benefit, and he was getting so animated, like he started raising his voice, and and this guard comes up to him like, hey, like, you need to calm down, otherwise I'm gonna throw you out of here. And I was like, oh,
good.
okay, that makes sense. People get really pissed if they don't get their way. That's why they have those guards there to deal with those crazy people. It makes
Yeah.
sense to me.
Well, it's not always that someone's upset because they're not getting their way. Sometimes they're upset because the computer's not giving the proper information for them to get their benefits. You know what I mean? Or like, because computers screw up all the time. And I mean, I've been an angry person in a public place, just really frustrated because I'm like being seriously inconvenienced by a computer glitch or something like that, right? And I
Yeah.
bet that stuff happens at the Social Security office too.
it does. But also, what does happen is Social Security will say, "Hey, we're reducing the amount you're going to receive," and the customer will say, "Well, why?" And Social Security will say, "Well, we
Isn't
sent
that?
you a letter. We sent you a
Oh,
letter 3 months ago." And they'll go,
uh-huh,
"Well, I didn't get it." And they go, "Well, we can't really control whether you got it or whether you didn't. Is your address blah, blah, blah?" The person will say yes. And then,
yeah.
there's a big conversation about that. And a lot of
Uh-huh,
times that does happen is people go, "Oh, Social Security letter, I'll read it later." And they
uh-huh,
never open it. And hey, I'm guilty of that. I get mail and I go, "Oh, I'll read it later." And
uh-huh.
then I don't. But that happens a lot.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
speaking of mail, I have a mail deficit. Like I have this problem with mail out of sight, out of mind.
Oh, yeah. I know.
Oh, when I used to live alone, my mailman would come to my house like every couple of weeks and he'd knock on my door and he'd say, Becca, I've got your mail for you, because he'd have to empty out my mailbox so he could put more in there. So he'd just bring me like handfuls of mail to my door. And then my sister moved in, and so I gave her the assignment of getting the mail every day. And then, well, now Tim gets the mail. So
Well, sounds like it's time for us to go on a break, but we will be right back.
stay with us, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back after these messages.
Hi, it's me, your favorite author, Rebecca S. Meadows, here with another message. You know, you can go up to Amazon and search Rebecca Meadows author to get your hands on each of my books. And each book is available in Kindle, digital download, Amazon print on demand, or on Audible. So enjoy, and please send me an email at beccameadows76@gmail.com and let me know what you thought of my book, okay? Oh, and please go up and write a review for me too. Thank you. Peace out.
Well, it's kind of interesting, Becca. You started talking about mail, which kind of would lead us into our topics, because it's about how, things about house and how you manage. And Paul and I have very similar ones. Paul, do you want to go first, or you want me to go first? Or
Why don't you, and then I'll kind of follow you, because I think yours is kind of talking about how we kind of adapt, and mine is talking about kind of the technology that we use to adapt. So why don't you go ahead?
Yeah. So
how dare you?
Thank you.
I sure do. So my topic was going to be to talk about how we as blind people adapt our house to make it more accessible. Like what kind of things we do to run the household, what we do different. And it's funny, Becca mentioned mail, which perfectly falls into that category, like managing mail. Like it's one of the things I used to receive a bunch of mail when I lived by myself. Right now, my husband handles all the mail. I don't even touch it. But back in the college days, I had a very good relationship with my apartment manager. So I would grab my mail and I would go to her and she would tell me what was junk. Keep in mind, back then, we did not have that many apps and stuff like that. You can read by yourself. But yeah, like an example I said about the house, like how you make it more accessible. Obviously, I'm sure every one of you guys, labels microwaves and dishwasher and dryers. And is that the thing still, or you guys have apps for that?
I prefer to mark my appliances. I rarely use these silly apps. I'm not very good at using them because I don't use them very often. So when I do take them out to use them, I have trouble getting them to look squarely at something and read it right and stuff. So
yeah, apps are great when they work, but for the household items, I prefer just hands-on things. Just label. I had those little bumps, if you know what I'm talking about, like we put in a microwave and dishwasher.
Yeah. I've used Braille labels, sticky labels to mark a microwave before. I've used bump dots with adhesive on the back to mark appliances and stuff like that. And we could do a show where we talk specifically about how to adapt our appliances and stuff around our homes and our work environments to make them more accessible for us, because that would be a really good topic, don't you think, Anna?
Yeah, I mean, we covered some of them. You think more of like a demo thing to show people?
Like a show, because there are so many ways. Like there are so many different options to mark things, right? Like there's tactile things you can put on to mark things. There's also that pen pal. Have you seen the pen pal?
Oh yes, I know.
Yeah.
I don't have one, but I've seen one.
Yeah, I used to have one, and I used it for quite a while. That was, my gosh, back before I ever got married and started.
Is that the pen friend?
Yes.
Yeah, pen friend, pen.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one. I mean, you mentioned labeler, right? Like to make Braille. I do have a labeler. My stepson gave me one for Christmas, but I'm still yet to take it out and to label, say, my spices, because my spice cabinet is a disaster.
So Anya, do you have really good slating skills?
Yeah, I have decent ones. I mean, I don't use slate.
Have you seen these It's um a slate. It's I think it's called shoot. You put like ribbon in it for like you know the for the braille labeler. You put that tape in it because I don't like that braille labeler that has the thing that you spin. You know
Oh,
what I
that's
mean?
what I have. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's kind of awkward. But I found this. It's called a labeling slate, and it's got slits on it, one on each side, and you can feed. I'm doing hand gestures for our sighted audience while I do this. You feed the braille tape into one of the grooves, and then you pull it all the way through, and then put it out the other side so that the braille tape is held in place. And then you can just use your stylus and make your own label. As long it could be several braille cells long, you know what I mean. And I really prefer that to do making my own braille labels to that labeler thing, you know. I don't know if you've tried that yet.
I think I know what you're talking about. I think I've seen those at the training centers. But
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure we're talking about the same thing. I mean, those are all good items to do for sure.
Yeah.
Label.
Yeah.
What about you, Paul? How do you make your house accessible?
Well, all I know for one thing, Becca's point is I do know when you're out of Schlitz, you're out of beer. So there's that. But yeah, so the microwave that we have, you have it with bump dots on it. So there's the one, two, three, and they 4, 5, 6, etc. And they have the bump dots. We have um, our washer and dryer are labeled in Braille. I don't know. I don't recall what kind of label we have. If it's the spinning one or if it's the one like you was talking about. I am kind of familiar with both. I've heard of both. I don't know if I've seen which ones I've seen. Um, but then also you could always just get a piece of sticky paper and write on your brailler and use that if you ever needed to do it that way, which is probably kind of the old-fashioned way to do it.
Yeah,
Um,
as long as it doesn't get wet.
yeah, our
Whose Jaws is talking?
I think that's mine. But that was mine talking. I'm sorry. I didn't know you guys
No,
could
you're
hear it.
fine. No, our oven though is fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, controlled via an app. Um, so we do have to kind of press that button at the stove to get it to work, and then yeah, you can set your temperature and your timer through the app. Much like you two, though, I'm kind of more of a person who prefers to kind of do it by hand.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, as we're kind of seeing most or a lot of appliances now are becoming touchscreen. And so I was giving someone grief because they was using a pen friend recently. I said, "What are you using a pen friend for?" And they said, "Hey, if you need to know where your start button is on your dishwasher and it's all touchscreen, you use the pen friend for that." I said, "Okay,
Oh,
can't argue with something like that." So we do have some of the apps to kind of help us out, but if it was up to me personally, I would rather just like you guys touch everything.
Um, I have a question for you, Paul. Regarding the pen friend. So if the screen is touch screen, can you actually, because I have an issue with my oven. We stupidly bought an oven which we thought was going to be just simple buttons that you can put dots on and go ahead, but turns out that it's super touch screen, and then nothing sticks to it and jumps all over, and I'm totally unable to use it. I can only set up 350 temperature, but if I
oh,
need to bake it, it's something else. Like I need assistance, and I can't even use Be My Eyes because they can't have my finger press at the right things because like my finger goes all over the place and it presses the buttons. It's just crazy.
oh, yeah.
But would pen friend be helpful in that case? 'Cause I don't remember exactly how it works.
The way I remember it, and Becca, you can cue in here if you'd like. The way I I remember anyway when I had one, is that they use stickers, and then you push the little pin on the sticker, and then you'll record a memo. So you might say up arrow or raise volume up, and then you put the sticker on whatever you want to put it on, and it'll say raise volume up. So you'll know that that's the raised volume up, or I'm sorry, not raise volume up, but raise temperature up rather. So I don't know if it would stick to it.
This is a common problem for blind people, with this touchscreen technology. And I think it'd be really cool if somebody who's in the know, somebody who knows a lot about computers, would take it upon him or herself to figure out a way for us to use touchscreen technology, make it accessible. You know what I mean? Like, well, I guess Apple's already done that with their touchscreen technology, but I guess what I'm saying is I wish other manufacturers would find a similar way to make their touchscreen technology accessible, like the voiceover,
Well, there
What
you go. There's a bill, could be. There's a law. They can make it a law to make all the manufacturers make their products accessible.
Oh, that would be great.
Are you using a big name brand for your stove or your oven? You don't have to shout them out. I know they're not paying you if you don't want to.
Oh, I don't remember. I think it's, what is it, LG? No, I don't remember.
No, because I think we're using a one that may be called GL as well, and so
Well,
they
there'll be
they
bad
w-
advertisement for them. Why you?
they was supposed to send us a little sheet that goes over it that has the braille.
Oh,
For some interesting reason, we haven't seen that yet. So that's a little interesting. But have you ever thought of, do they have maybe an app you can use with your stove at all? I mean, that's not, I know the ideal situation, but would it be possible that they have that?
No. Well, for one thing, we've had the stove for 2 or 3 years, and I need to look up the model. I mean, it could be done, but again, my preference is to do everything by hand.
I do agree with you, and so I understand what kind of a pain in the neck that is to kind of have to use an app, but just kind of maybe thinking of ways you could actually use it.
Wouldn't it be cool if, like, the CEO of General Electric or somebody like that was suddenly struck blind and they suddenly developed a keen interest in making technology accessible to the blind, and stuff actually started becoming accessible like that? Like manufacturers started caring about it because it started impacting their own lives.
Well, I don't think CEO going blind will do much.
Actually, that's who you want it to impact, because they're the ones at the very top that can really influence things down below. You know what I mean?
Well, it's a bad example, but I'm still gonna say it. It's like killing CEO of United Healthcare and hoping for a change. It's
So
Okay.
I went blind later in life. And let me tell you, when you go blind later in life, when you lose that sense, like, I guess you guys haven't lost vision. You guys were born blind. But when you go blind later in life, it is it has a radical impact on one's life. And I really feel like, yes, if some of these people in high positions in these companies were to have blindness affect their own life, or like their child or their spouse, I think they would start taking blind Americans into consideration when they make their products, because they would realize, like, how easy it would be for them to make their products accessible from the shop, right? So that they'd be accessible for blind Americans.
Well, I see what you're saying. I don't wish anybody blindness, but I wish more education and more legislation even.
Well, there's nothing wrong with going blind. I mean, like we've discussed, it does impact one's life, but all I'm saying is I think something like that would really cause a big change, in the industry.
I think it's all about the bottom line. And if we are not a big share of their market, not much will probably change in the industry. It might change in your circumstance, Becca, in terms of what you're saying. If a CEO, went blind, that might change for that specific company. But industry wide, we're not a big market share when it comes down to a lot of these companies. So, yeah, it's an interesting topic there.
I think if the circumstances were right, I think could be beneficial to some companies to start to cater to blind people and their friends and families, right? And so I just I look forward to the day when the plight of the blind is realized by these industries.
You remind me of that scene from your pilot from Don't Look Now, like about the what is it, Country of the Blind, or what was it? Like,
Oh,
everybody was
oh,
blind. You know?
oh, yeah,
Oh,
Gino. So Gino wrote the script for that for Don't Look Now, right? And he is quite a writer. It was pretty good, wasn't it, guys?
yeah, I wish I remember the exact quote, but it was pretty funny about this. That's what NUB took offense with, but
Yeah, yeah. The
I see.
NF
That's
make it in their own
interesting.
way.
Yeah, no, I mean, I heard NFB pushing those things, like about appliances, especially. I don't know where they are right now with that. I don't think it has gone very far.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going more towards, AI and all that stuff. I don't think they're gonna start making tactile buttons or anything like that. If they do something, it's gonna be more for apps and stuff.
I do kind of think you are correct in saying that the app is seeming to be the way things are heading, which I don't personally love that myself, but it does appear that it's heading that direction.
Yeah.
I mean, my thing is, and it may sound paranoid, if you will, but what if your internet goes out? You can't use the app at that point,
Yeah.
So I don't love that.
And they're constantly updating. Like, look at the social media apps or any other app. It
That's
updated,
true.
and all of a sudden, and you're out of it. Like, you cannot do it anymore.
Yeah, I was really upset when that happened to MySpace.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, you remember those times? Yeah.
No, just kidding.
Yeah. No, I don't know. But do you guys have any other, like, not necessarily technology appliances, whatever, but just do you have any general rules, like what people are doing in your house, like, or you doing in your house for like that really reflects blindness? Like, I'll give an example. Like, in my house, if I can help it, like, I tell people not to set anything on the edge of the counters, like, or table, because it's so easy to knock over.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of a rule. Do not do that if you want your dishes to be safe, or my dishes to be safe.
I don't really think we have a lot of them. Now, granted, 4 out of the 5 of us that live here are blind or visually impaired, and then we do have someone who can see. So we do kind of have a mixture of blind and sighted alike, if you will. The biggest rule, if you want me to be completely honest, the biggest rule we have here is when you go upstairs, take your shoes off. That's the biggest one we have. But I don't know if we necessarily have rules. Our house certainly is, I think, pretty blind friendly with things being labeled. Like the washer and dryer and the stove to the extent that we can, and the microwave.
Paul, can I ask how many blind people live with you?
Yeah,
in the
there's
house?
4 out of the 5 of us are.
Oh, okay.
So we have a packed house, for sure.
Well, you're
I love living with blind people. I think that's so cool that you're living with 3 other blind people.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it can be interesting sometimes. Like if you're say eating breakfast and there's 2 other blind people walking around, and one of them has a hot cup of coffee, you do gotta kind of yell, "Hey, coming with hot coffee, coming with hot coffee, or coming with hot soup," or something like that. And sometimes there are collisions.
Yeah.
One time I was drinking a glass of water and walking across the kitchen, and I got ran into by 2 of my roommates in like the span of a 30-second period. It was great. So sometimes those things happen, but overall, I think we're pretty
Yeah,
good.
and when you're living with other blind people, it's important to make sure that when you're carrying scissors or knives, they're pointing at the floor, because if you have them just pointing out, you might run into one of your blind roommates and injure them.
Well, luckily we live by a hospital, so if that ever was to happen, we're only about a half a mile away, so we'll get them there okay. I'll cue them up on the walkie-talkie I have, because sometimes I hear the hospital on my walkie-talkie. That's, by the way, totally serious thing. That wasn't me making a joke.
Wow. Well, we had that rule in CC. every time. So it says, okay, oven open, so everybody's aware that the hot oven is being opened, and we had all those rules about knives and all that.
Oh, that's true. We do say dishwashers open, don't die. Because it's very easy to trip over a
Oh
dishwasher door.
yes, I've done that so many times.
Yeah,
And we do say don't die at the end of it every time. So
that's nice. All right, well, sounds like the break time. I heard the
Okay.
music.
Okay.
Hey, everybody, are you enjoying the show? Are you enjoying the books? Are you enjoying everything we're doing here at Blue Butterfly Enterprises? If so, go up to bluebutterflyenterprises.com and check out our store and buy some of our memorabilia. Wouldn't it be cool to have a Becca's World hat or t-shirt or coffee mug or a bumper sticker for your car? I'm going to get one for my car when I get a car that I can drive.
well, I guess we are back, and I guess this topic kind of delves into, or my topic kind of delves into more so of what Anya's was, and I wanted to kind of know what.
Guys, can you hold on for 1 minute? I need to address our administrator. Gino, I am not hearing the commercial music the way Anya is. So just want to let you know there's something wrong.
Did you hear that, Paul? Did you hear?
I'm hearing it, yes. So I want.
So
I
you
wonder
both
what that
are
is.
hearing it?
Yeah.
I haven't heard it during either break so far, so I don't know what's going on with Okay. Okay, I'm sorry for interrupting, Paul.
You're fine. That is important that you know that, so I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was curious to know what kind of technology y'all use. I know y'all kind of mentioned you don't really love a lot of apps, but in terms of technology that you guys may use for professional or personal things to make your lives as blind adults easier. Go ahead. Sounds like you have a lot to say.
Oh, I was just going to say, well, I use my iPhone, of course, and I play Dice World on my iPhone. Do you guys play Dice World?
Well, but I guess he's asking how does it make your life easier?
I play it when I'm bored.
Oh.
Yeah, that's gonna say you could certainly say that. I have a Dice World account, I think, but it's been probably 5 or 6 years since I opened it. Probably doesn't even exist anymore.
I never heard of it. I'm just not a game person at all.
Oh, you never heard of Dice World? Well, it's like you can play what can you play? Yahtzee.
There's Yahtzee, threes, 1 for 24. Did we say Yahtzee? Yahtzee, threes, 1 for 24. Farkle and Balut.
And it isn't blindness specific, so you'll actually meet people who are not blind, and they're also playing as well. I remember a friend of mine used to play, and she would play with people from Australia and I think Russia. And you don't have to be blind to own the app, but it is totally accessible for the blind.
Yeah, and my Dice World name for our viewers is Mesa Butterfly.
I was going to ask you want to give your Dice World name out, but it looks like you do.
What is your Dice World name, Paul? Do you want to give yours out?
I don't even remember. Like I said, I haven't used it in about 5 or 6 years, so I couldn't tell you.
Well, I had to figure out what it was recently because I re-downloaded the app, and now I've got one of my 2 sons playing it. I've got my fiance playing it.
Oh, yeah.
And I just introduced it to our dog walker today. I think she'll play it.
No, I have never played on that because I never was interested in games. Never. I just I don't know. It's just not my thing. I'd rather watch something on YouTube or scroll Facebook or something.
Yeah, sure.
But as for professional stuff, I mean, I would use either CNAI, not just professional, just for even home use. If I need to recognize text. Like just this past weekend, I took out my new shampoo and new conditioner. My husband went to the store, and I was like, "Oh shit, I forgot to ask him which one is which I usually do because it's faster." So, but I was like, "Okay, fine." I took my phone and I start reading, and I was, I don't know how to align it properly, but as soon as I heard the word shampoo, I was like, "Okay, perfect." So I can stop right there. That is shampoo. The other one will be conditioner. So
now, as a professional, Anya, I'm just curious to know, do you use Braille at all, and when you work?
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't do without Braille.
So do you have a Braille display or a note taker or?
Yeah, I have what do you call it? Not Apex. What do you call them? Oh my gosh, this modern one from Humanware.
Yeah.
The touch screen and with Braille display.
Oh, okay,
Is
What
okay.
is
that their newest one that came out with a few years ago?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about that. I don't remember what it's called though.
Yeah, they have a new one that just was released, I believe, called the. I don't remember what it's called. I beg your pardon, but they have a new one that they just released actually that's running on Windows instead of Android. So that's very interesting.
And
Oh, that would be better.
does anybody know their website so our viewers can go check out the
Yeah,
information for
it's
themselves?
www.humanware humanware.com, and they are not sponsoring this episode.
They're not right.
If they'd like to,
If
I'm
you
sure
would
Becca
like
would love that.
If you would like to sponsor an episode of The Blind View, you can email us at beccameadows76@gmail.com and we'll get back to you.
Now, do you use Braille or anything of like a display or anything like that, Becca?
My ability to read Braille is not there, but I know the code. And so what I do with Braille in my daily life is I use Braille screen input on my iPhone.
Sure.
When I'm creating a text message or an email or entering information onto a contact, stuff like that, because I find it so much faster to just use my two hands and use Braille screen input instead of trying to use the QWERTY keyboard. And like, because before I learned Braille, I used to use like the QWERTY keyboard, and there's a lot of double tapping on there and stuff like that, and it's just really inconvenient and very slow and tedious using the QWERTY keyboard. But when I learned Braille and then I discovered Braille screen input, I love it.
I remembered the one I have called Braille Note Touch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have the Braille Note Touch Plus or something, but I don't.
Oh, I thought the newest one was something like the Comet or something like that. The new cheap one that they came out with a few years ago, because Braille Note Touch has been out for a long time. I had a Braille Note Touch for a long time that I never really got up and going on. But they came out with a new Braille display just a few years ago that was supposed to be a lot cheaper than the Braille Note Touch. So
Yeah, there was a few of them.
It had a smaller Braille display, but
was it a Humanware product? Do you remember?
Either Humanware or its competitor. I don't remember. Humanware's competitor that made the Braille Touch.
Yeah. I think they're competitor. They have hymns.
Hymns, yeah.
Which is the one that I use. I use a Braille product from them currently, and they also, for those interested, and I do believe you'll have to contact your talking library. But for those interested, there is something available for most people in the United States called the e-reader, and that is free. If you do contact your talking library in your state, you will be able to get a e-reader for free. Which basically what that is it's an 18 or 20 cell Braille display, and that will allow you to read all your books in Braille. Should you not want to read them in audio.
If only it had note-taking capability, that would be just awesome.
It doesn't?
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
I have one. You can type, like if you're searching, like you can type a search term, but you cannot actually create a document and type something in it. No.
Right. But I figured I'd put that out there just in case people do like to read, because I know a lot of blind people do love to read, and that's a great resource if people do in fact like to do that.
Yeah. Go ahead, Beck.
I love to read. I have Audible. I have Bard Mobile. And I got to tell you guys, I have so much reading. I read every night when I go to bed, and I still am way behind on my reading.
Hey, I give you kudos because I don't read enough. I really don't. So I say kudos to you.
Oh, that reminds me. I'm going to start my next book. and I need to, because I always know when it's time for me to start writing, because I keep writing in my head. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I'm going to start my next book soon. Like,
How
I
many
think
books have you
tonight.
written?
This is going to be, let's see, I think this is going to be number 6.
Okay, because I know of 2 of them, I believe you've talked about, and I think I've seen online. I think I can't remember the titles. Once you say them, I'll go, "Oh yeah, those are them."
So, if I could recommend to my viewers to read any of my books, I would recommend that they read Living on Borrowed Time, The Ravings of an Angry Survivor of Traumatic Brain Injury and Guardianship Abuse by Rebecca S. Meadows. Because to me, that's the most important of all my books.
That might be the one I've heard. What are the other titles, in case the viewers are interested in knowing?
Okay, so there's Because You're Blind, Changing My Perspective, I think was the next one. And then there was, just give me a minute. There were 2 short story collections. One was, oh my goodness. Trying to remember what I called my first short story collection. Metamorphosis, I think, is what I named my first short story collection. And then my second short story collection, I named, I don't remember what this second one is.
Would you say Living on Borrowed Time? I know that one's the one you just promoted, and we'll get back to the appliances in a second. But would you say that's been your most successful one?
I haven't really compared the success of any of my books. To me, it's my best job writing, and to me, it's the most complete version of the story.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Have you sold any of them?
Yeah, I've sold people have bought all of my books. I honestly have not looked at my book sales in months, right? Because I got other stuff going on. Like
Sure.
most of those books, it's been years since I wrote a book, right? Like my last book, Living on Borrowed Time, I think I published that in 22. So it's been a few years since I wrote a book, and you know what I mean? And I've been doing other things, right? Gino and I've been working on lots of projects. I've been taking care of myself and making movements in my recovery, you know what I mean? Like the stem cell therapy that I've been doing. You know what I mean? And stuff like that.
Because the Living on Borrowed Time, the one you mentioned, I believe either you mentioned it, I think you mentioned that one before, and so I'm very well aware of that one. And then I knew there was another one for some reason. So I knew there was 2, but it looks like this will be number 6 for you. So that'll be exciting.
I think this is number 6.
But how are you gonna write it? Like, are you gonna type it up on a computer, or have somebody type it? Or
so I took typing class my first year back at public school after I went blind, and I excelled at typing. And I've even though that was my first year back at school and I struggled with everything else academically, I did pretty well at the typing. And I think it's because it was hands-on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most of the other stuff they had me doing was stuff that required some amount of vision. And so I wasn't doing very good at anything else. I did do pretty good at home ec after the accident, but there again, that's another hands-on course. You know what I mean?
But how did you write the other book?
So I really enjoyed typing in high school, and in high school was when I was starting to begin the process of recovering from my traumatic brain injury, and I also started to fight the lawyers and all that stuff that was going on. And you have to remember, these lawyers, 5 years later, they locked me under the guardianship in a trap, right? And so back then, when I was a teenager, I saw the trap coming that they were building. So I was already working on figuring out how I was going to get out of whatever their trap was when I was a teenager. And so I had a lot on my plate when I was a teenager, and I was working on the recovery of my brain and the recovery of my body. And at the same time, I was trying to hold on to my sanity, because you guys got to understand, every day I was being forced to have debates with doctors and lawyers, my parents, people, just random people. And I was being forced to defend my right to live. my right to like work towards a future. They kept telling me I should just give up and hang it up and just die, you know. And but after all of that, I just, you know, well, when I first woke up from the coma, I knew I had to write a book about how I was going to recover from that, because I knew I would recover someday. I didn't accept it when the doctors told me I would never recover. So I knew that I would have to write a book about my recovery when I managed to do that. But then 8 years later, when they locked me under the guardianship, I got to tell you, that night that because they tricked me into that guardianship, right? And the night they did that to me, I got to tell you, I decided that night I was going to get even with those lawyers. I was going to escape from that trap, and I was going to make them pay. You know what I mean? And it took me 15 years. They stole 15 years of my life with that guardianship they locked me under. And so my whole life, since I was 12 years old, my whole life has been about recovering and surviving and escaping from the guardianship. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and especially it's overcoming the odds, really.
Yeah, and so I've had a lot of important things to write about, because when they told me that, when I woke up from that coma and they said your life is over, right? And you'll never do A, B, and C again. It made me so mad, because I realized in that instant that they tell Americans that every day when they wake up from comas in hospitals around our country and around the world, right? And I thought, this is wrong, because I knew that my life was not over. I was 12 years old, and I had, even though my body was very tired and my brain was destroyed and beaten up, you know, in those days and weeks when I finally got home from the hospital, even though I could barely walk and I could barely do anything, I just knew that I had to fight to recover, because I couldn't let my life end like that. You know what I mean? And they kept trying to convince me that it was the end. It made me so mad, you guys. And that's why I have to write, because nobody's watching. I mean, we have some viewers, but we don't have a lot of viewers, right? And so I got to get my message out there somehow. So that's why I've been writing, you know.
How old were you when you wrote that first book?
I wrote the first book. Let's see. Oh, gosh, I was 20. Shit, how old was I when I got out of the guardianship now? I think I was 20. I was 35 when I got out of the guardianship. And that's when I wrote my first book. And it took me, well, it was probably, I got out of the guardianship in January, in January of 2012. And it was like September when my husband came to me and he said, you know, you always said you were going to write a book when you finally escaped from this thing. And now that you've done it, you need to write your book. And so that's when I sat down to write my first book. It was like September of 2012.
How long did it take you to do that?
Well, Paul, to be perfectly honest with you, writing a book happens in stages, right? Like my first book, honestly, I basically published my first draft.
Mm-hmm.
And I should have, I mean, if I'd been smarter and had better guidance from my publishing company back then, I should have edited that first manuscript and done some things with it before I published it. But at the time, I didn't understand how to write a book, and I just wanted to get my story out there. You know what I mean?
Sure. I do understand that.
And so my first book, I'm ashamed of how my first book is written. Someday I want to go back and edit it and put it out. But the thing is, until people start reading it, I don't see any point in bothering to rewrite it, because my later books, when my writing got better, I already share, you know, the important things from that first book anyway that people need to know. So.
Yeah, well, you know, now with all these new technologies, you could ask AI help you write. And again, I'm not.
Oh no! Didn't we discuss Chat GPT like earlier when they first came out? As an author, I hate Chat Chat GPT and all this AI. I think it's terrible. Did you know there's people, quote, writing books with Chat GPT and publishing them?
I heard it.
Gosh.
That's terrible. That's not what I'm suggesting at all. But if you know how to use the tool, you don't,
So I use my Alexa to help me with give me synonyms and stuff like that when I'm writing. And sometimes I have her spell words for me. And sometimes like Bette Midler's name, like I never saw that before I went blind. So I had to ask her how to spell Bette Midler, right? And so there's been words like that I've had to have my Alexa spell over time. But really that's and I use spell check on my computer. I guess that might be considered AI too. So that's just what I use when I write, is just spell check on my computer, and then I use my Alexa for those sorts of things.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if you know how to use it properly, that could be helpful too.
Yeah.
Not to have it write the book for you. Just, okay, write me a book about this and that. Of course not. That would be big cheating.
You do realize that there are people who are doing that? And I don't know if the bigger fool is the person allegedly writing the book with a Chat GPT or the fools who are buying the books.
Yeah.
But
and actually reading them.
That doesn't spread just to the writing. It spreads to music, to songs, instrumentals, like anything. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
They even create like a artificial artists.
They do have that now, yeah.
And make harmonies, and and you can hardly tell that's AI or somebody really singing.
You can kind of tell. AI is too perfect.
You're right. It makes it way too perfect.
I will admit that I have been using it more recently, though, for some coding projects that I'm kind of involved in. So I have been using it there a little bit, which I know all the computer engineers and all the people who took computer science are probably upset with me for that. And I do, excuse me, I do understand that, because as a musician, a lot of people have asked me if I played with things like Suno or apps like that will write songs for you. And the answer to that is no, I haven't, and I don't ever plan on doing that, because I know how hard I've worked as a musician, and so I'm not interested in that. And I reckon people probably who work with computers and coding and that kind of thing, computer programming, probably feel the same way and have the same reaction that I might have to AI music, with knowing that I have been using it kind of to help me do a little bit of coding. But admittedly, I have been using it to help me out. So, I don't hate AI like some people do, but I do think that to the points that people make about AI taking away the joy of creating something is a legitimate argument.
Yeah. There's a lot of discussion around AI lately. Very vigorous discussion.
I am not. I know we've talked to people. We've all talked to people, right, who love AI and think it's the greatest thing on the planet. I think there needs to be certainly a more moderate approach to that. Everything in moderation, right? And so, I don't know. It's not completely for me, but I do understand that a lot of people are using it for many different reasons.
So I remember. Did you guys ever see The Net?
No, I don't know.
So The Net was a movie that warned about the dangers of technology, right? And I am really in shock at how advanced our technology has become in the last decade or so, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like the huge leaps and bounds that we've been taking. And when I saw The Net back in the 90s, I mean, it stressed me out, but back then I never thought technology would do what it's doing to me today. I mean, this AI technology and the way they can copy your voice and copy your images, and like basically steal your images and make you say or do anything, like I really feel like technology is getting really out of hand, and I for one am I don't know, I wish we could put the brakes on the technology and slow it down for a bit.
Unfortunately, I think we're past that. I do agree with you, Becca, quite a bit. But my question is with AI taking over so many jobs,
Yeah.
where are we going to be in 10 years? Are we going to be forced to pump the brakes? Or is it going to be, or is it going to be something to where some people have been saying, look, if you don't learn how to use AI, you're not going to be successful. I don't know, but that is kind of the thing that really concerns me within the next 5 to 10 years. Look, what's going to happen in terms of that?
Yeah.
And I know a lot of colleges are concerned. What's going to happen to major universities? Because now, with the way AI is going, you don't even know if the student knows the material. And so a lot of people are concerned about that. Professors are
That's
concerned
why.
about that.
That's why
So
you eventually sorry back just a second. That's why you go back to the original where you started from. Like back in the day, you come to the exam, you pull the ticket with a question, and you answer right there. Like they've done it for
Mhm.
years and years before the technology. No computers, nothing.
Okay, so I was just going to say that, since my brain was injured when I was 12 years old, it's been very important to me, and it's always been at the front of my mind that I need to be working on ways to make my brain stronger, which means using my brain. And and when I was in high school, I remember them saying that, oh, this spell check was going to be the downfall of our children, and the other tricks that the computer can do to help you with your writing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And and I'm proud to say that, because I think I haven't been able to delve into technology like my sighted peers, I don't feel like technology has weakened my education. I actually think it's helped me educate myself as a blind person. But I do see how all of this technology is weakening my sighted peers and my sighted, my children and my family members who are sighted and stuff. Like so many of them, they say to me, "Oh, Becca, I can't believe how you do things and how you remember things and how smart you are." Well, it's just that I use my brain, and none of them use their brains because they've been using all this technology since like the 90s. You know what I
The
mean?
brain is a muscle and you have to use it. So
Yes.
I do absolutely agree with you there. And I will tell you that, yeah, I mean, your kids, you probably see them a lot on TikTok and that kind of thing. Now, I don't have kids that I know of. And so I don't, have kids that I have to worry about on that. But I do see a lot of people that are my generation and younger, and they're always on Facebook or TikTok or some sort of social media. And I
Mm,
just don't think that that's healthy.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's a whole big discussion. Absolutely. Like there's a lot to be said about it. Well, I believe we are out of time.
Yeah.
But
I want to make one more point to our viewers. I just want to point out to everybody, you can make your brain stronger. Go read a book, go do a crossword puzzle, go do something and use your brain. It'll make you better.
Here,
yeah,
here. I agree with that 100%.
Hmm.
Roger
Go,
that.
go, go play Bop It.
Yeah, go play Bop It. That's another good. Yeah.
Hand-eye coordination or something.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Hand-eye coordination. Okay, are we at the end of the show? I can't
Yeah, I
hear
think
the
we are.
music, so.
Yeah, we kind of are. But yeah, sounds like we covered everything what was planned for tonight, right, Beck?
Yeah. Yeah, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us for this exciting episode of The Blind View. Please be sure that you are subscribed so you get notifications every time we go live. And please be sure to share the videos with your friends and family.
All right. Peace out, everyone. Talk
Peace
to
out,
y'all
everybody.
Bye now.
That's a wrap. Bye-bye.
next-
Have a great week. See you next Wednesday.
That's right.
Thank you for watching Becca's World. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel.